Thanks for tuning into the Coffee Roaster Warm-Up Sessions podcast. This is episode 193, and we talk about the wholesale side of running a coffee roasting business. Now, I think this will be most beneficial for smaller teams, about 4 or 5 team members. When you're running a wholesale operation, having a good product is always a given. You need to have good coffee that you're selling, but there are other things that you can do that can serve your clients much better, that can help you stand out from all the other roasting companies vying for their attention. We're diving into that all in this episode. This will help you retain your clients better. This will help you make more money in the end. And hopefully you walk away from this episode with a lot of practical tips. Let's get into this. Like we always do in the beginning of every single episode, we pour some batchy, because why not pour some tasty batch brew in the beginning of an episode?
That's pretty good. It's a very tropical coffee. Definitely a washed. Definitely not a natural. Not even close. It's pretty good. It kind of reminds me of the coffee that we're about to release.
Definitely tropical.
Yeah.
Definitely washed, clean,
pretty juicy,
vibrant.
Yeah.
This is my type of coffee. So it's so good.
Yeah, I like it. Can't
It's
complain.
so good. It's a little too.
It kind of reminds me of the Miller, but like acidity wise, actually, just not necessarily. It has more fruit on it than the Miller one. The Miller one had like lemonade, that kind of style. Yeah.
Yep. It also Miller had this like burnt sugar taste, the brown sugar taste to it. This is definitely reminds me of the Miller for sure, hands down. Both Bourbones, but this is is actually one of our coffees that we're going to be releasing.
Oh, nice.
This is super fresh off roast. This is like not even a week off roast. Yeah. We cupped this coffee. This is
nice.
The Bourbon Ahi.
This is it. Yeah.
So lots of tropicalness.
Very similar. I like it. Yeah.
Just nice acidity. It's got fruit on it. It's clean, super clean, crisp. I don't know. I can just keep saying the same things over and over again because this coffee is just so great.
It's also cool to hear another varietal that I don't think a lot of people know about. There's only a few roasting companies that are serving this. And of course, in our echo chamber, the few that are serving kind of dominate that market of this varietal. But I think on a broader spectrum of things, like this varietal is like really, unheard of. Like Bourbon Ahi, like that's a fairly new one. And we originally
definitely new.
We originally cupped this varietal back in SCA Portland. That was 2022 or 23?
I don't know.
23, I think.
Was that one we cupped?
That was 23. Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think that's when we cupped it and we ordered it, and then the truck got totaled.
I don't know if that was.
Or was that a different coffee?
Yeah, I don't know, but maybe it was. I don't know. So, yeah, this is just a great Bourbon Ahi. It's just I have zero complaints about it. Wanted to brew this up. I know it's way too fresh, but wanted to say when this podcast drops, we'll have some no label dial-in batch. So if you want to pick up some of this coffee, again, we roasted the first batch. It's not 100% dialed in, but I'd say it's 85% dialed in. 90. You're gonna get a stellar deal out of picking up some coffees that are on this no label dial-in batch. There's only gonna be a few bags, like always, and I would, if you like Colombian, zippy, fruity, but also clean, not natural fruity. This coffee is it. So
it's excellent. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
This is
better than the cupping, better than my
cupping,
brew.
Really?
Yeah, it's better than the cupping. Better than my brew of it this morning too. I brewed it just on pour over. This is way better.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's good. Yeah.
Okay. So go pick up a bag. That's that. Hopefully it'll be dropping in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Depending on how quick we can move a few things and get things dialed in. Yeah. But Yep.
Speaking of like flavor notes too, little tidbit for you, but also for all of our listeners. Like, who's had? I'm curious to know this, and I want people to like engage in this conversation. Who's had the fruit feijoa? Have you had it?
No, I've not.
Shot you that photo of it yesterday.
I know. I need to drop by Whole Foods to pick it up.
It is on my top 5 favorite fruits now. And it is now going to be a fruit that when I'm cupping coffees, that's the flavor profile I want to find coffees for. Wow. It is absolutely stunning, like very bright, juicy acidity, floral, like to the max, aromatic and tropical. It's an absolutely incredible fruit. So if you, like you, Mark, you need to go pick it up today and try it and like literally take cupping notes on that fruit.
Is it I was gonna say, is it like even right to say what are flavor notes of a fruit?
I mean, every flavor,
wild.
like a lot of the times,
I guess a mango tastes like a mango. I mean, what else?
That's also true. Yeah, that's also
true. Is it more tropical? Is it more?
It's a tropical fruit.
Is it yeah. Is it more acidity heavy, cantaloupe-esque, melon-esque?
Not cantaloupe. No, not melon. I don't think melon is high in acidity, in my opinion.
Is it?
I think acidity to it is very similar to pineapple.
Okay.
But zippier. Okay. That type of acidity. Like very zippy. You just need to try it. But the aromas, honestly, once we drop a coffee bag that has that flavor note, I've achieved down flavor notes. Like that's it. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Well, we have some pre-shipped Ethiopian samples on the way to the roastery that was supposed to be delivered today. So maybe in one of those we'll see. But
you got to.
I'll need to pick up some.
Incredible.
Pick some up. That's interesting.
Incredible.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's get right into it. This is episode 193, and we're talking all about how to serve folks better with your coffee. As a roasting company, more specifically, is how do we, especially for wholesale accounts.
Yeah.
I know this, as for folks brewing coffee at home, it's a little different, but still, I think there's still a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
But for wholesale accounts, you're dealing with, offices, churches, events, like, I don't know, trade shows that might need some coffee, and you just need to provide them some coffee. Like last week we had a big, actually one of the bigger berry farms in the United States reached out to us about having some coffee for their like 100+ employees or something.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. Those are some of the weirder wholesale accounts that you don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're not glamorized in the specialty industry.
Yeah.
Like when you think about roasters selling coffee, it's like, how do I get into the multi-roaster or the coffee shop down the street? We will talk about that as well, but I think the other accounts play a big role into it. So
totally.
Just some practical ways on how to, if you're a roaster, how do you get your coffee in front of them and serve them well so that they keep buying coffee from you, and that you're also not just looking to, hey, cash in and leave, which is overall not probably the best business model.
No.
But
yeah, I think especially within like what we've been doing with Mirror and the variety of wholesale accounts, we've had everything from a small real estate office to like multi-roaster cafes to just non-multi-roaster cafes, like just serve one coffee on this way and that's it. The variety of wholesale accounts have, like, one of the things that I've learned is, yes, selling is important. Like if you're a owner of a roasting company and you have a sales team, 100%, getting in the door is crucial.
Yeah.
Important. But managing accounts and actually retaining accounts is key. And I think the way you serve is absolutely how you manage that account. Because one, like, you're right, you named a bunch of different, like Raider Farms, their needs with our coffee and the way they're going to brew it, their needs are going to be much different than if we drop off samples at a multi-roaster account. Yeah. And then if you unpack that, like, multi-roaster accounts are not all the same. Like, there's not a blanket statement. Like, if it's a multi-roaster account, they need to be served X, Y, and Z. Like, because if you drop off samples at Narrative, they're going to have a different model of choosing
Right.
coffees. And then how you retain that account and narrative, you know that in 3 months you need to save some more samples if
Right,
you want to
right.
remain on their shelves.
Right.
Different type of account management there. Or if you land another account that we've just recently, like Golden Goat and all of those like accounts that
Yeah.
we've recently partnered with, like that's also a whole different way of serving.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of the things that I hear about roasting companies that are elite, like that are crushing it next level. Like I'm thinking of like Heart. I'm thinking about like, Proud Mary. I'm thinking about the responses I've gotten from asking people questions like, hey, why do you partner with this roasting company? I feel like a lot of, like I've heard from these people that the reason they love working with these accounts is what they provide beyond just the coffee. The coffee has to hit. Like, let's not underestimate that. The coffee has to hit. If the coffee doesn't hit, no matter what kind of service you're bringing, it really doesn't matter. Coffee has to hit. But you can't leave it at the coffee just hitting. So how are you partnering actually rather than just providing a thing? And that's what I want to talk about, because I think that's crucial, and that's an underestimated thing in our industry. Our industry is big, but it's small, but it's also not that small. It's fairly big,
Yeah, well, let's kick it off.
Yeah.
What's first on the docket?
Yeah. One of the main things is when you get to know your account is understanding like what do they actually need beyond the coffee. For example, like I'm thinking about like when we partnered with Bruin Coffee, it's kind of a smaller coffee company in Colorado, and many people might have not heard them, but the partnership that we established with them was through another employee that I worked with, Trey. When we started talking about selling Mirror and them partnering with our coffee, I knew for a few things. I knew what Trey's level of expertise was when it comes to working with coffee. So as a roaster and as a roasting company, I think what helped that knowledge of knowing who is buying my coffee helped me understand what kind of coffee is going to serve them best. And then on top of that, once they got our coffee, one of the things that I kept checking in with Trey is like, hey, how's the coffee brewing? Like, how is that roast level on that? Like, what can we do to help you brew that coffee or make that coffee taste the same way that we're tasting? Like, do we need to understand your water chemistry? Like asking those questions. Do we need to adjust something in our roast for you that'll serve you better? Do you need some guidelines to understanding how you can extract this coffee better? Because of course, if it's an account that's serving like, let's say like a Prodigal, DAC in September, those folks probably already know how to extract our coffees, right? Because they're very similar. But if it's an account that doesn't, that uses equipment that's like Trey's account, like they use a little more automation. So I had to literally sit down, chat with him, get all the information on his equipment, unpack that and be like, oh, I understand how this equipment works. Therefore, with what I know about our coffees, this is how our coffee is going to work best for you. And I think one of the things is, why is that important as a roasting company? Why must you do that? Is because the whole concept of having a wholesale account is actually partnering with someone. And when it comes to partnership, you really have to understand what they're doing in their establishment and what you're trying to accomplish. So you blend the two together. And that's where I'm very bullish on that idea is like, hey, how can you support them to get the best taste? How can you engage with them so that their customers are happy? The emails that we've got recently from people that served our coffee, our wholesale accounts, have been so rewarding. It's like, that's why I'm doing those things. When I know that an account has Mirror and their guests are responding and saying like, dude, your coffee slams. Like the account that came back and bought more coffee and we're like, dude, like we're literally sold out. Wish we had more of this Miller, but we don't. Those are the kind of responses that that make me happy, because I know that cafe is succeeding. And their success is part of our success.
Hopefully you can provide them something that makes it enjoyable for you to use, for them to use your coffee.
Yeah.
And the people that are coming into their shop. I mean, yeah, of course it's their job to make sure to serve their guests something good and something that aligns with their values, 100%. It's not the roaster's job to do that. But at the same time, if you can figure out a way to think that far down the line, that's great. Like that's a win. I mean, there's some, you know, if I'm sending samples somewhere, I'll look at their offering already. And if it doesn't line up, I'm not going to send them samples.
Right. Yeah.
Because we don't have anything that's going to fit them.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether that's they drink extremely light coffees, we probably don't have anything. Or, hey, they're serving coffees a slightly more developed. Yeah. They probably won't like our coffees because they're going to taste sour and gross. And, because that's just not their style. And, we've had that with a handful of folks.
Even like one of the recent experiences I had, there's a pediatric office that we serve here in Bellingham, and they're not a massive wholesale account. They're not glamorous. You know what I mean? It's not like our business model is around how many doctors' accounts we can get in.
Right.
But it's nice. One, they're friends. I have a good relationship. They do my daughter's teeth. Like, of course, I want them to serve Mir in there. Right. And the last appointment that Rain had there, I was basically sitting there. She's getting her teeth checked up, and the owner, Dr. Sawyer himself, walks out. He's like, "Oh, dude, so good to see you. Rain's doing so good. This is so sick." He's like, "Dude, you should try the coffee." And he pours me a little bit of batch, and I was like, "Dude, what the heck? This is absolutely incredible." Like, I didn't even realize that I helped them set up a system that tastes so good. Like, it was like absolutely incredible. They're brewing out a Mocha Master, little Barazza Encore,
That's
great. And it's slamming. So I'm drinking, I'm sipping, I'm like, dude, I'm loving it. And Dr. Sawyer's like, dude, like, I think one of the challenges, like, we love this coffee black, but with cream, it just doesn't hit the same.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, why do I bring that up is because we made immediate changes. And I said, okay, this coffee is great. Maybe you should try the Alto. Yeah. Like, that coffee might hit differently for you. Right. Let's find you something that is not only good black and for your office and for the guests that come in, but is great with cream. Like, imagine you're going into a doctor's office and the batch hits better than most cafes.
Yeah.
Dude, absolutely extraordinary. Free batch hits, Yeah. So, like, and that's how I see it, is like, when I'm serving even those small accounts, I'm checking in with them. I'm trying to understand, like, what are their wins and what are their challenges? And as someone who account manages, I want to make sure that I remove as much of that friction. So it's an easy like transaction for them between their folks, and it's easy and wonderful for us. So then when I do go in with Rain, dude, if I want a little bit of cream in that coffee, which I rarely do, it's going to slap. It's not going to curdle.
Right. Right.
But the problem is, I could have just said, hey, that coffee, it is what it is. That's what it is,
Yeah.
Or I could have said, hey, here's a recipe and it's for a Fatco, but they're brewing on a Mocha Master. So I think a lot of that side of, like, when it comes to actually serving your partners well, you have to get to know them.
Yeah, 100%. And I think one of the things that hopefully you're aiming to do is remove a lot of those points of friction ahead of time. So something I've noticed is, like, if you wait until everything blows up in your face, you're already too late. And you're already kind of mitigating a crash or mitigating a loss already.
Roasting.
Yeah. And that's already kind of, you're just trying to make things not as bad. Whereas on the flip side, you can be proactive and just make them not crash at all. Yeah. And that's from again, you can't solve all of the cafe's needs or all of the, sometimes an account, walked up to us and was like, hey, your coffees are just too expensive. Yep. And I'm like, exactly. Well, I wish I can go source an 82 for pennies, but I mean, I don't even know if now you can even do that, but it's like, yeah, sorry, we're just not gonna, it's just, we're not a good fit, and you should definitely go find somebody who can. So the point is not to, like, break your back for everything.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you mitigate some of those friction points ahead of time?
Yeah.
So you're not putting out fires, but you can be proactive, because sometimes it's like, all it takes is like a simple question.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, how's it tasting with milk or whatever? And just being willing to be like, cool, we have a solution already for that. Hey, we've already thought that through. We've already dealt with similar situations, just ahead of time.
Yeah.
So it's not like, the worst thing, I'm just thinking the worst thing is like, when there's an issue and nobody's addressing it and they're not happy, and that just happens for like a few months.
Mm-hmm. Or unspoken expectations, right? It's like this whole, the idea of doing as a roasting company, the idea of providing coffee to a wholesale partner, the idea of it is a partnership. And I don't think that we talk about that enough or lean into that. And because it's a partnership, it has to come from both sides, whether that's from the roasting company, from the team behind the roaster, like understanding that, the communication there. But it also has to come from the cafe side. So if you're a cafe manager listening, like I hope that, dude, I hope that you're contacting your roasting partners. I hope you're asking the questions like, hey, what was your experience cupping? Like, we cup our coffees, every roast gets cupped. Think about the amount of data that's like we have on that coffee.
Right.
The amount of data we have on that roast. Think about that. Right. And if you're a person who is buying coffee at a wholesale, as one of our wholesale partners or another coffee company, you can access that data with an email. You can access that data with a phone call,
Right.
And if that data is going to help you serve guests better, the longevity of that relationship, the trust that's built there is absolutely key to both sides, And I think the other thing is like, there was a friend of mine up in Florida, Elias, and I knew them from like competing in Florida and doing different events. And Elias was working on another, and Elias always told me, I want to start a coffee company. Recently opened up Tetherball, and I know they're not quote unquote buying coffee outside of Florida right now, but when I contacted Elias, what I wanted to know is, hey, what is your thought process as a cafe owner, as a manager? What is your thought process when you're buying coffee from other roasters? What is good account management and what is bad account management? And the insight that Elias brought to me was absolutely priceless. Because one of the things that he repeatedly said, I want coffees that my team and my staff can have an easy time working with. I want coffees that I can eliminate waste. I want coffees that are actually going to sell well on my retail shelf. And I think from a cafe management point of view, one of the things is like when you're choosing coffees, of course, you're probably choosing on taste. Duh, right? You want to serve tasty treats.
Right.
Of course. And we know our coffee is tasty. That's great. Easy. Right. Like taste is fundamentally the primary reason you probably are choosing a coffee. Second is the ability to extract it well. Make it tasty. Like, is it gonna, rock and roll in a 12-ounce latte? Or is it just gonna disappear? Like, is it gonna be the best pour over? Or is it gonna be just subpar? Right? So making it taste the way you cupped it is step 2. And finally, the retail side of things is like, I was talking to Elias, and they were mentioning that they had a great time selling boxes. And the amount of times on this podcast, the amount of times on my Instagram, I clowned on boxes is way too many. And they were saying, actually, Valor's boxes, like, rock.
Yeah.
They actually help people buy coffee better.
That's interesting.
When I worked with other companies that had boxes, it was like pulling teeth getting people to buy coffee in boxes, and understanding like, oh, how can I help your baristas as a roasting company? What can I equip you with? Do you need to know what thermal shock means? Well, we have a podcast for that. You know what I mean? Do you need to know the story behind Jorge's farm? Well, we have a podcast for that, or we have a video for that. The amount of times I've contacted different accounts and said, hey, like, here's our offering list. Here's the coffees that we want to present to you. With that, here's some information that's not generic. That's not a copy paste from an importing company. But here's information. Mark, I literally told an account, like, yo, here's Jorge's coffees. We love them. They please a lot of people. They make people happy, happy, happy. Not only that, Mark has visited Jorge Mendes multiple times. Here's a little vlog and story behind why this coffee is important. Yeah. And the response I get from people like, oh, that's so much more than just a beverage. So now if that information, if you're a cafe owner and a manager and you're partnering with a roasting company, you're taking that information and portraying to a barista as someone who's been in management in a cafe. When a barista gets stoked about a coffee, guess what they're going to do? They're going to sell it better. Easy.
Yeah.
So as a roasting company, if you want more sales, you know what you should be doing? Equipping your partners, baristas, to sell more coffee. And that is absolutely key in partnership. Why? Because the success of both sides, like we talk about this on a green level. Like Jorge Mendes is going to sell more coffee only if we roast more of it.
Right.
And if we roast of it, that means we have to sell most of it. Like the supply chain is attached. If we want to make coffee more sustainable, then at the end of the day, roasters should be training other baristas to sell more coffee on the shelves. And how do you do that? Equip, bring more knowledge, produce more podcasts. Sorry, I just went on a rant because this has been like on my mind. Like we're, especially after Edwin's podcast about, coffee pricing going up and all of that. Like we're in the time like, dude, like we really have to work together on this.
I mean, hopefully the baseline is it's tasty coffee.
Baseline.
So you can't fix tasty coffee you can't fix poor coffee with, great customer service. You can't. If the coffee sucks, it sucks. Right. Figure that out. But yeah, just doing everything on top of that. Because at the end of the day, you're definitely not just selling, beans.
Right.
There's an experience on top of that. And, from, just a online sales standpoint, it's also why we invested some money into packaging and why we invest money into a website and why we make these videos and why, all of it, a lot of things. So friends, that's a wrap. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Coffee Roaster Warm Sessions podcast. And as we always say, remember, reflect what's good.